This movie sucks. I'm not going to beat around the bush with this one. What we have here is a sort of Bigfoot anthology, which you think would work perfectly, but it doesn't. There are 4 stories, all bookended by a YouTuber that rambles on more than me. So let's watch American Sasquatch and see if there's anything redeeming about it. It opens up with Sean C. Phillips doing a YouTube special called Does It Exist? And tonight's spotlight is on Bigfoot. Phillips has his moments, and you might get a chuckle here and there, but if this was a real YouTube video I was watching, I would have clicked away in the first 10 seconds. Not unlike viewers to my channel. Later on, he talks about a UK viewer he has that claims to have spotted one of these creatures. So, on to him. He goes on to say that these things do exist, and he thinks the government is covering it all up. He says that he was out on a walk with his dog deep in the forest. He let her off the leash, and she ran ahead. Later on, he found her dead. He said she was mauled by something, and the only logical thing it could be is Sasquatch.
Why does no one believe me? I don't understand what's going on.
Well, that's enough evidence for him, and he decides to camp there for the night. At first, he shows some footprints, and after talking about that for way too long, he moves on to mentioning how the water is red from blood. It's definitely not iron or anything like that. Finally, he finds some fresh blood in the trees, hears a growl, and runs away. Then we see him being killed by something off screen, which, honestly, given this film's budget, might have been for the best. I'd hate to see what they could have come up with for a suit. But hold on, we'll get there soon enough. Next, on to another paranormal YouTube show, Freak Investigator UK. Zach, Sam, and Carl. They talk for a long time about different Bigfoot reports in the UK and how many small pets and even humans have gone missing. So, in the end, they decide to investigate for themselves. That night, they all head out to where the attacks are happening. In addition to the rest of the crew, they also bring along Sierra, which is Zach's better half. I don't know why I'm going into details with their names or anything, because it doesn't matter anyway. They talk, obviously reading their lines off of an iPad in front of them. They say that they're using it as surveillance monitors, but no, they're just reading their lines. Eventually, they split up. The guys smoke some weed while the girls decorate the tent. Carl goes to take a dump in the woods, and when he doesn't return, they go to look for him, but they can't find him anywhere. When they return to the tent, it's trashed with fresh blood all over it, and a giant, and I mean giant, King Kong-sized footprint outside. Even so, they think it's just Carl playing a joke on them, until they find him dead. They all go running and split up, until eventually Zach is killed and Sierra and Sam make it back to the car, where they make their escape. Okay, moving on. How many more of these do we have to watch? Oh, yeah, we're at the halfway point. Next is an interesting story. I give them credit for trying something different here, but in the end, it just falls flat. The thing about this story is that the main, and the only character, doesn't say a word, which you might think would be boring, and, well, it is. We're told that in Ireland, a guy went missing while investigating the Grey Man, which is just a gray Sasquatch. His brother vowed to find the beast that killed him and get his revenge. So, what's the first thing he does to prepare for such a fight? He tends to his garden. Exhilarating. Eventually, he works out for 30 seconds and gets a shower outside. Everything this guy does is just weird. In addition to showering outside, he also peels his apple in one long peel. Who does that? Just eat the apple like a normal person. Eventually, he does go out into the woods, and he hikes. And hikes. And hikes. The only thing we hear during all this is birds chirping, and it gets boring fast. Well, as night falls, he makes a fire, and we do hear trees breaking all around him. But he still doesn't do anything. As the sun rises and he starts to take down camp, the beast attacks. He tries to shoot at it, but he's not fast enough, and he's killed by the Gray Man. Or at least a dude with long hair. Moving on to the final story. Two guys, father and son, are going hunting. For some reason, they made the decision to park on ice and shuffle their way to the woods. I'm not gonna lie, this part actually gave me anxiety. I just knew that they were gonna fall and break a hip or something. Well, eventually they make it safe and sound, and the son talks about how he's prepared for this moment by playing Big Buck Hunter or something like that. I honestly couldn't hear because they aren't mic'd, so as they walk away, you can't hear a word they say. They actually stumble upon the beast chowing down by a log. Remember what I said about the budget and a suit? Well, maybe it was best to keep this thing in the shadows, because here, it's laughable. Anyway, the guys run, and either the creature injured the dad, or he just slipped and fell and hurt his ankle. Given how much ice is around this place, I'm inclined to believe the latter. So his son goes off to kill the creature and save the day. But when he comes back, well, let's just say he's half the man he used to be. Bigfoot comes in to attack the dad when he grabs his gun and takes him out. Instead of mourning his son's death or even acting a little upset, he's just like, "Great, now how am I going to get out of here?" Well, he does get out. It's the slowest scene in the movie, and honestly, it's just this guy shuffling on the ground forever. I'm not joking. This is what they chose to fill up the already short runtime. He makes it back to his truck, turns it on, and Bigfoot attacks him from the back seat. Oh, you didn't see that coming. And that was American Sasquatch. The best part of all that is that it's over. It's not the worst Bigfoot movie ever made. It didn't have any unnecessary nudity that makes it a softcore Bigfoot porno, so that's good. I gotta give them credit for that. But this is low budget, about $10,000. Even knowing that, I still think they could have come up with something better. Spend half the budget on a good suit and the rest on cameras and actors, preferably ones that don't need an iPad to remember their lines. Oh, and maybe hire a writer that can come up with something better than teenagers talking to tent for 10 minutes. One thing I still don't understand is why it's called American Sasquatch. At least 3 out of the 4 stories happen in Europe. Is there anything redeeming about this? Well, like I said, John C. Phillips has his moments, and I can appreciate what they were trying to do with some of the scenes, like having a whole story where the only actor doesn't say a word. But honestly, that was probably only because he didn't have an iPad to read from. I would steer clear of American Sasquatch and only watch it if you're a huge fan of Bigfoot movies. And if you are, then you've already been subjected to stuff way worse than this. I give American Sasquatch 1.5 long apple peels out of 4.
So many different names for it, of course, Bigfoot, Yeti, Snow Beast. I guess you consider Snow Beast to be kind of the same thing as, it's sort of like, there's been a lot of movies about it, and Snow Beast is sometimes the same thing, but it's like the Sasquatch, but the Sasquatch that, hangs out in the snow.